Hello everyone, and welcome to Remains to be Seen. These will be a couple of smaller episodes where we will introduce you to our players and the characters that you will meet in the episodes. Today, I am here with...
Do you not remember my name? Wow. With Jo Mendacium.
Oh. I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. How dare I? So, tell us a bit about yourself, Jo.
About myself. Well, I'm the voice in your ear currently. I've been in two different podcasts before, and I am a professional agent of chaos. I also do draw. I feel like I should say that. I do draw sometimes.
And I mean, it's totally not like you are also owning this entire company.
Fuck. Yes. I'm really good at introductions, and I'm going to leave all of this in because I think it's funnier. I'm also the second CEO of this little company. Pulling a lot of strings behind the scenes. I'm going to cut this, which is so much fun. And yeah.
We will all have to deal with our own voices again and again and again.
I can hear my own voice. I can listen to it. That's fine.
I can't wait to join, hopefully, that group too.
Deep Jo lore is I worked in a call center, and like every week you would have to, with your team manager, would have to listen to your own calls. So I'm primed for this.
Oh my god, okay. So, can you introduce us to your character that you will be playing in the podcast?
I'm going to play Victor Vivane, who is a changeling and a hexblade warlock. At level 3, just like everyone else. But he's not like the other girls. Since he is a changeling, he will appear in different. I mean, he will look different sometimes. We will probably meet him in his femme presenting form, which is a short queen. I can't do feet, so we now have to live with like meters, like about 170, somewhere around there, with tan skin. Like, this person has been outside a lot. A few freckles across her face, long silvery grey hair. The thing you would notice first about her are her violet eyes with like slits for pupils. Because my guy is he's a little extra.
Do feel very offended that you called 170 short. How dare you, Jo?
This is a fantasy game. All parallels to actually existing people are legally an accident. I'm so sorry.
How dare you? So we're gonna do a little improv question, and we will see how that will go and what your answer is, because I didn't make questions to be like, oh, what is your favorite type of breakfast, or what is your favorite season? No. Victor Valdane, what makes you afraid of the dark?
Well, I suppose the only thing that would make me afraid of the dark is not being able to control when I get to leave it, or who's there with me.
Interesting. Okay. Let's find out what that is about.
I don't like that you're grinning so much. Evil.
It all remains to be seen.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Rover.
Anyway, let's go a bit through the mechanics of your character, because you're playing a changeling. What are the things that you get for being a changeling?
Okay, I can't really remember which proficiencies you get, because I did not mark that down where they came from. However, I can change my appearance, and to make it work mechanically, we kind of tied it to my proficiency bonus. So twice a day I can change my appearance, And like minor changes would not count into that. Like if I just want to make my lashes longer, I can just do that. But like properly changing my appearance is tied to my proficiency bonus because it's a little easier to deal with.
And it
yeah.
also, it also makes it just it doesn't do the thing of like, oh, I can steal this person's stuff and then just run away as a different person, basically, constantly. So that's why we put it to the proficiency bonus as well.
Yeah.
And you are playing a Hexblade warlock. I almost said warrior. Warrior could also be a good word, but it's a warlock.
It's a warlock, yes.
So, can you run us through your ability scores?
Like the skills, the big skills. I call them the big skills because
they're the big skills.
Because I'm educated and eloquent. Yes, I would love to. So Victor has +1 on strength, +2 on dexterity, +2 on constitution, +3 on intelligence, +0 on wisdom, and I'm so excited for that, and +5 on charisma.
I'm going to so hate your character.
Yes, you will. I'm going to leave that on this fucking recording.
That's fine.
I'm specifically, I and Victor, the character I play and I as a person specifically exist to make Rose life harder. But he's also very mean, so I feel like he deserves it.
I mean, this podcast is indeed very much going to mess around with your mind. Let's just say that.
Amazing.
It's going to be very, very fun.
Yes.
And what are your proficiencies?
First, my saving throws. I am proficient in wisdom and charisma saving throws. And then from my skills, I am proficient in deception, history, intimidation, investigation, persuasion, and stealth.
Ooh. Which means you are going to lie your ass off the entirety of the podcast, which is going to be very fun.
Exactly.
What do you have any weapons that you use, or are you basically more a spell?
I do have 2 weapons actually. I also get to have a breastplate because the AC is scary otherwise. I do have a rapier and a greatsword.
And what languages does your character speak?
My character speaks Common. I know that's very surprising. Sylvan,
oh my God.
Greek, Elvish, German, and sign language.
Ooh. That's going to be very interesting. Also, for the people that have not listened to anything else, Common in this world also counts as English. So when we either say Common or English, it's the same thing, basically. All right, let's go through a bit of your mechanics for Victor. Because what do you get when you are a warlock? And definitely at some point also with your subclass.
You mean like feats and the
like the Eldritch Invocations, the feats, what your Hexblade does.
Yeah. So bear with me. I never wrote down what you get at what level, but I mean, whoever is listening to this, and is like, oh, warlocks sound very interesting. For you, important to know, changelings are not a species that are in the official rules. You will have to use the other books that exist, like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, or whatever it's called, or Mordekai's Book of Monster. Same goes for the Hexblade warlock as a whole. However, you get some stuff that is very standard for this class, which is Eldritch Invocations, which means you get to choose extra abilities, so to speak. For warlocks, it's recommended to make one of your spells better, which is Eldritch Blast. For me, it becomes Agonizing Blast, which means I can use my charisma modifier for the damage, to add to the damage roll, which is good because it's +5. And the second one I picked is Devil's Sight, which means I can see For 120 feet, I can see through darkness and magical darkness.
Ooh, okay, that's really cool. And then you should also have magical cunning?
Yes, magical cunning, if I'm remembering correctly, gives you the ability to perform a ritual for 1 minute and get like a spell slot, half of your proficiency. It's one spell slot. You get one spell slot back, essentially, for me at level 3.
Yeah, because we are starting at level 3, which we will also mention again in the actual episode.
Yeah.
And then you chose Hexblade for your subclass. Can you talk us a bit through why you chose Hexblade? Because Hexblade is not in the 4 main ones that we mostly use with the 2024 book.
Right. I chose Hexblade because it's cooler. That is generally my only explanation for it. It sounds cool. It gives you a lot of cool things, like you can curse a target, which is it works a little bit like Hunter's Mark from Rangers. It lowers my crit range to 19 on this specific target, which is always nice. And Hexblade overall gives you the ability as a warlock to be a bit more. You're not so dependent on all your spells. You also do damage and do a lot with just a weapon, which I find for a campaign gives you a bit more. Like, I didn't want to have frustration in the fights, right? Because warlocks only get. I have 2 spell slots. That's it. And like the max spell slot a warlock can ever get is 4. So my plan was to make Victor do something in combat that is not just his spells. Yeah, and you get like nice things. You can pick like Hex Warrior, that gives you essentially proficiency in other weapon types, so that you can mix and match whatever you want to.
Yeah, because warlocks are mostly very much a magical based class, which is their 2 to 4 spell slots or 1 to 4 spell slots, and a lot on their cantrips. But with Hexblade, you basically are also good at fighting.
Yeah, essentially. Because I think naturally the warlocks are only proficient in like simple weapons or something like that. So you are very much. If you are out of spells and you do not pick your cantrips carefully so that you have more than just Eldritch Blast in there that deals damage, it can be a bit frustrating in battle, I find. So I was like, okay, I really want to go for. I also want to just wield a weapon and do something with that.
Yeah, and with the Hexblade, obviously with warlocks, the subclass that you choose also fits the patron that you follow, basically.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, it does. So, for example, there is the celestial subclass where your patron could literally be a unicorn if you want them to be, or it is an actual fiend, or any kind of that. However, with Hexblade, that is a bit different. And Jo, do you want to tell us why that is a bit different?
I hope you're all seated. I have a shadow daddy. Yeah, with Hexblade, your patron is a shadow being, which is giving you all your powers. So clearly, shadow daddy.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe that comes up in the show. Maybe no. Maybe yes. Maybe no.
It will come up, I'm pretty sure.
It will absolutely come up. I have so much lore ready.
Oh my god, I'm so terrified.
I am so ready.
Yeah. Oh, actually, maybe because a lot of people with the Hexblade warlock would go for the Pact of the Blade later on. I did not do that. I went for the Pact of Tome to have more spells. Because Victor likes books.
Yeah, Victor really likes books, so that's also going to come up a lot in the show. Like, I think it's very much a inspiration, a little bit of the knowledges of Doctor Who, kind of.
Yeah. We were watching a lot of Doctor Who when I
Yeah.
started creating Victor. And it all went in a different direction, which I'm very excited about. However, I think when it comes to skills, and you really, really, really play a campaign where role playing is the main part for everyone, because you're all just like playing your characters, I think picking your skills and subclass according to what you really want to play makes a lot of sense. Even if there would mechanically be a better option, pick the one you really want to play. And I think having a guy who gets all his powers from a shadow is really kind of metal, actually.
It's really cool. And since this is very much set in Europe, we're gonna less interact probably with the big fiends and demons rather than shadows, which will definitely appear in this in the show.
I mean, everyone got one.
Yeah, it'll be all good. So yeah, that's going to be really, really fun. Remind me again where Victor is from. Since we mentioned Europe, where is Victor from?
Victor's from Manchester, and no, I cannot do a Mercurian accent, and you will not hear that. I'm ambiguously English accent, I guess, for him.
I mean, it's also definitely like a rule here that do not do accents if you can't do them properly. We don't want to offend anyone. That's also not what we just don't want to do that. We're not gonna do that. If you are confident in your accent, that's all good. But if you're not, don't do it. Even if you're from, I don't know, UK, Germany, Italy, doesn't matter. But yeah. I think, if I'm correct, that is everything for... Actually, no, I am a liar. What background do you have?
Oh, I went for Wayfarer because it gives you the feat Lucky. My personal absolute favorite. I love Lucky to pieces, and in the 2024 rules, they actually kind of tweaked it a little, so it gets better with the higher level you are, because now you can use it the amount of times that corresponds with your proficiency bonus, which is so nice. I love it.
It's so cool.
Yeah. You get to reroll a d20, essentially.
Yeah, the backgrounds in 2024 are so good.
We love them. We love them.
We love them.
Yes.
And your AC at the moment is
16.
And your hit points, I think you're using D8 for
yes.
Warlock?
It is it is D8s, and my hit points are a voluptuous 24. Warlocks are glass cannons, y'all.
Yeah. They are very much glass cannons. So for the Warlock, can you run us a bit through what spells you have and your spellcasting ability, your spell save DC, stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. So since I picked the Pact of Tome, I got more cantrips and 2 more level 1 spells that are tied to something, but I feel that's all you need to know. My spellcasting ability is my charisma modifier. My spell save DC is 15, and my spell attack bonus is +7, which is really nice.
That's real good.
The cantrips I picked are Toll the Dead, because cool ass spell. Eldritch Blast, which now is Agonizing Blast. Spare the Dying, Firebolt, and Message. The last 3 are the ones I got from the Pact of Tome, and I personally think Spare the Dying, absolutely underrated, so helpful for you and like for your party, essentially, because you can just go boop and then people stop bleeding out. For my first level spells, I obviously picked Hellish Rebuke, a little spell that is just called Hex, Witch Bolt, And then from the Pact of Tome, I picked Detect Magic and Tensor's Floating Disc.
Nice.
Yeah. And my one 2nd level spell I have is Darkness.
And for a warlock, these are all on level
2.
2. Yeah, so every single spell that Jo does as level 1 or level 2 will be cast at level 2.
Yeah. So if they don't scale at higher levels, it does not matter, because I think warlocks do not have that many spells that do not scale at a high level, because they're very much built like that. Every spell I cast at the highest level that is available to me. This is why you only have 2 spell slots, because that gets ouchy really fast. I feel like.
Yeah. And what your spells will do and how they work all remain to be seen in the actual show.
You will never stop saying that, right?
I will never stop saying it. It's now a thing.
This is now a thing.
It's now a thing. This is now a thing.
Okay.
It's now a thing.
It is now a thing.
I think for that is it. Thank you so much for being here, Jo, and talking us through Victor.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what Victor does in the actual show.
Me neither. I hope he survives. That's like the
I
goal,
hope
right?
they don't.
I mean, I came to play the game. If he dies, he dies. But,
I want to make this very clear. I do not want to actually kill all the characters. I just like threatening them.
Yeah. Doesn't work on me, dude. Sorry.
We've played so long D&D before.
Yeah. Actually, we did. All right.
All right. I'll see you in the episodes. Bye-bye.
Help! Bye-bye!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Remains to be Seen. I am your host, Rover Elliott, and today I am here with
Elizabeth Simpson.
Hello Elizabeth. How you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Of course. I am a video editor based in the US. I am obsessed with all things fantasy and sci-fi, and I've been playing D&D about a year, and I'm so very excited to be here.
Oh, that's going to be so fun. So tell us a bit about your character.
Yes, so Corwin is a half-elf paladin. Notably, she is an Oathbreaker paladin, which I am so excited to play. Ro, this was actually your brainchild from from a conversation that we had so early on in the audition process.
You did.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
looking back, I actually went back and found that original message the other day, and it was just us going absolutely bonkers for all these different wild character types. And Oathbreaker Paladin, who hates the fact that they've broken their oath and is trying to fix things, just stuck with me so much, and I was so excited to get to revisit that idea.
Yeah, and officially in 5e, definitely, Oathbreakers aren't necessarily a thing in 2024, and in 5e they are only used for villain class options. They are in the Dungeon Master Guide. So doing this for a player character as trying to redeem themselves is going to be really interesting. So, Corwin, where's Corwin from?
Corwin is, her family currently lives in Florence, Italy, but she grew up kind of split between Florence and London. She went to boarding school in London and has spent quite a lot of time in London in recent years.
Yeah, because she, before she broke her oath, she used to be with Apollo?
Yes, she was a paladin of Apollo up until really quite recently before the campaign. This is all very fresh. We are going to get the very rattled version of Corwin at the beginning as she is trying to figure out what it means to have broken her oath.
Oh, it's going to be really interesting to see how that works with Corwin. So we have a bit of an improv question, and once again, we are not going to be nice. So, Corwin Duval, do you blame yourself?
do I blame myself? Of course I blame myself. It's my fault. Why wouldn't I blame myself? But that doesn't matter right now. Guilt is self-indulgent, and all that matters is fixing this. All that matters is finding a way to set this right. Of course I blame myself, but I can't right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So after that, wow, let's get into how your character works, because Corwin is a half-elf?
Yes, Corwin is a half-elf, which notably did not exist in the 2024 rules, which breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah, same. It was in 5e, because we used to start out the show with 5e, and then when we got more into 2024, we realized that we just had a lot more options to go with. But the sad thing is that it added Goliath and Aasimar, but sadly took half-elf and half-orc away. But now we still have a half-elf here. So explain to us a bit what the half-elf specialties are.
Yes, for sure. So, just to give a little bit of clarification, so, we're mostly using the 2024 the 2024 rulebook for Corwin. So, like, all of her stats, all of her stat bonuses, all of her level ups, all of that will be handled in the 2024 rules. But you and I discussed taking the species characteristics from 2014, just to kind of keep it fair. So, those species characteristics are, she gets dark vision, she gets advantage against being charmed, and notably, my favorite thing in the world is that she gets one cantrip due to her high elf heritage, which is prestidigitation, which she uses almost exclusively to dye her hair pink. Bubblegum pink.
Amazing.
She's just a girl.
She's just a girl. I genuinely knew that she had pink hair. I think my brain did not gather that it was prestidigitation that did that. Wonderful. Amazing.
Just
who needs...
Well, I was going to say, just a little detail is that her hair is physically dyed a really wild color of, like, blue-green. Like, she tried to dye it blue-green. It went really, really poorly. She couldn't fix it, and so now she prestidigitates it to be bubblegum pink.
Oh, this sweet soul. Yeah, why would you ever use normal hair dye when you can have prestidigitation?
Exactly,
And for prestidigitation, there are official rules to it. However, who cares? If you just want to dye your hair pink, you dye your hair pink. And then you are playing a Paladin Oathbreaker. So let us go through just your character sheet in general. What are your ability scores?
Yes, so Corwin has some wild ability scores, and I would like to put it on record that these were rolled live as a group because I rolled so poorly that I don't think I had a single score above 12. And so the rest of the party kindly rolled for me and rolled incredibly. So the singular score that I have that is awful is mine, and everything else was what everyone else rolled for me. I love the bounty hunters. I love you all. So she has a strength score of 17, a dexterity score of 17, constitution of 17, intelligence of 16, wisdom of 10, and charisma of 20.
Yeah. So that's a lot of +3, +3, +3, +3, +0, and +5.
Correct.
Which is, for a level 3 character, quite insane.
Wild.
And to add indeed to that story that you told for like how it was live, we all rolled one stat separately, and we kept rolling well except for Elizabeth.
I have since switched dice.
Good. So, what are your proficiency saving throws and skills?
Yes, so her saving throws... Sorry, should I run through all of the saving throws or just the ones she's proficient in?
Proficient.
Okay, perfect. She is proficient in wisdom and charisma saving throws, so that's a +2 to wisdom and a +7 to charisma. And then her skill proficiencies are insight, which is a +2, persuasion, which is a +7, religion, which is a +5, and medicine, which is a +2.
So, let's go through the paladin stuff then. Because before we do that, actually, what are the weapons that you are using?
Yes, I am very, very, very excited about her weapons. Corwin gets a crossbow and a dagger because I wanted her to have a ranged weapon, and I feel like a dagger is just something that anyone should have in this world. Notably, her main weapon is a halberd, and it is a cursed halberd that is cursed to keep a tally of everyone that she has killed. So every time that she kills someone, a tally appears on the shaft of this halberd. Just a friendly little reminder of everything that she's done.
What a good weapon. This obviously is something we are homebrewing. When there are actual items from the books, we will absolutely say so. This is a homebrew item.
Yes.
Now to actually stick to my words and go through the paladin stuff. What do you get as a paladin level 1 to level 3?
Yes, we get so much. First and most notably is, of course, Lay on Hands, which, as long as I'm remembering correctly, we are homebrewing just a little bit.
Yes.
We get, it'll be 1d10 plus the paladin level, and we get 3 charges and then an additional charge at each 4th level.
Yeah. This is also because, personally, I feel like Lay on Hands is not the most interesting explained stat, and in some different systems you roll for it. So we decided to kind of homebrew that with a little bit of inspiration from how Baldur's Gate 3 did it, and just rolling dice for it, which is just more fun in general.
Yeah, I agree completely. Other things that she gets as a paladin, she gets a fighting style. We have chosen Interception because that seemed to really fit well with her whole character concept of trying really hard to do better and save people. And Interception basically means that if one of her party members that she is standing within 5 feet of gets attacked, Corwin can take a reaction to reduce the damage that that party member receives. And that's by 1d10 plus 2, so she could theoretically reduce quite a bit of damage.
Wow. Okay.
I'm so excited about that. She also gets 2 Channel Divinities. Channel Divinity is something that we did homebrew a tiny bit with Oathbreaker to make it a bit more even. She gets Divine Sense, and then she gets Dreadful Aspect. She would have also gotten Control Undead, but we figured with this world and to make Oathbreaker more even with the other Paladin subclasses, we dropped Control Undead. So she has Divine Sense and Dreadful Aspect.
Interesting. Because you also have, I think, Paladin Smite.
Yes, we get Divine Smite, or Paladin Smite, which is used as a bonus action, which I was really, really interested to learn. But it's essentially right after she hits a target, she can deal an additional 2d8 radiant damage.
It's really, really good. And your weapons have something that is new in 2024. It's called Weapon Mastery.
Yes, I'm so excited about Weapon Mastery. And it means that for 2 of her weapons, which we've chosen her halberd and her crossbow, because those seemed the weapons she'll be using most frequently, she gets Weapon Mastery properties, which means that whenever she uses them, something special happens. So when she uses her crossbow, if she hits and deals damage, the person that she hit also has their movement speed slowed by 10 feet. And if she hits with her halberd and deals damage, she also gets a second hit to a creature within 5 feet of that first creature.
Which is really good. Again, that's just another second attack if it's near.
Exactly. I really love how the 2024 rules handled all of that. It's such an interesting way to do it.
It gives a bit of extra flavor to your attacks as well. And if we go to the Oathbreaker stuff, because basically, can you explain to us what an actual Oathbreaker character is?
Yeah, of course.
Next to what the name is.
Yes. So Oathbreakers break their oath. No, so the way that I understand paladins is that paladins have devoted themselves so wholly to their ideals that it changes something about them fundamentally. And so the way that we're handling that, and that most, D&D handles that, is it, through a god. So the god is the means to an end, in the sense of Corwin was, or any paladin is so devoted to the idea of doing good or the idea of being a hero that a god that aligns with those things says, yes, you are being a great servant of me. I'm going to give you these powers. When a paladin breaks their oath, it is a complete reversal. It is going against the thing that they have quite literally knitted their entire soul to. And so it's not just, oops, I messed up, or oops, I broke a promise. It's that they have fundamentally gone against everything that they've set themselves up to be. And in doing so, they sever themselves from their god and from the powers that they received from that god, which is why Corwin gets some different spells as an Oathbreaker than she would have had when she was with Apollo.
Yeah, exactly. And the, which I will immediately say, the Oathbreaker spells you get for that, most of it is very much attuned to evil spells, basically the very harsh, hellish, wounds in, like, very much a painful, damaging spells. However, what Elizabeth already said is that Corwin is very much trying to also get a new oath, or at least find her way in this world again. So what the 5e Dungeon Master book says, basically, over Oathbreakers is that they're completely aligned to evil. We are not doing that. That could have been a decision. That could also still be a decision for a villain. However, we have decided to not do that. What is the stuff that you get for the being an Oathbreaker?
Yes, she gets really quite a lot. She gets Hellish Rebuke and Inflict Wounds as her oath spells. She also gets those 2 Channel Divinity things that I mentioned, which is Divine Sense and Dreadful Aspect. Let me double check. Yes, I think that is really most of what she gets from being an Oathbreaker specifically. She also gets a handful of other spells due to her background, her acolyte background, that sort of thing. But Oathbreaker gives her those 2 level 1 spells and those 2 Channel Divinity options.
Yeah, exactly. And then what I was indeed going to ask on what your background is, which is now what you've already said, there's an acolyte. What is your current armor class and hit points at the moment?
Yes, so Corwin has 31 hit points. She has an AC of 17. I made some, you and I kind of in conjunction made some weird choices about armor and that sort of thing. She has a relatively high dexterity for a paladin, and a lot of the higher AC armors give you hits to your dexterity or hits to your stealth checks. And just by nature of being on the bounty hunters, we talked about stealth being important. So I opted to give her studded leather armor instead of like a plate armor or something a little more beefy, because studded leather armor is the highest armor class that she can have that takes full advantage of her dexterity modifiers without giving her any hits to her stealth.
Yeah. So studded leather armor is like 12 plus dexterity. Is that true? That I might be a liar. Something like that. Or 14.
It's either, I think it might be 14 plus dexterity. Yes, 14 plus dexterity.
That's a really good armor class to have for someone that is not wearing above medium armor. Or medium armor or higher.
Exactly.
Oh, it's really good. And what are the spells that you've chosen for your character?
Sure. So, like I said, because of her acolyte background, which, by the way, I'm obsessed with how the 2024 rules handle backgrounds. They give so many cool feats. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you decided to go with the 2024 rules for this. So because of her acolyte background, that gives you the magic initiate feat. And that means that she gets 2 cantrips, 2 cleric cantrips specifically, as well as 1 level 1 cleric spell, as well as all of her paladin spells. So what she has kind of top to bottom is in cantrips, she has Prestidigitation from her high elf heritage. She has Mending from that acolyte background, and also Toll the Dead from that acolyte background. And then for her level 1 spells, because paladins don't get any level 2 spells until we are level 5 characters. So for her level 1 spells, she has Hellish Rebuke and Inflict Wounds from being an Oathbreaker. She has Create and Destroy Water from that Acolyte background. And then as a paladin, she gets Bless, Heroism, Searing Smite, and Shield of Faith. And then also Paladin Smite.
Yeah, Divine Smite, Paladin Smite, yeah. Oh, that's really good.
I tried to give her a mix of like offensive spells and spells that could protect other people and spells that might be interesting just for flavor, like Mending or Create and Destroy Water.
I think it could be a very, very interesting way to also how your character works for fluff and also in the way the fighting and the battles work.
Exactly.
Because what is your spellcasting ability and spell save DC?
Her spellcasting ability is Charisma, which is a good thing because she's very, very high Charisma.
Yeah,
her spell save
20.
DC is her spell save DC is 15, and her spell attack bonus is +7.
Nice, very, very good for level 3. I think next to that, I think that's all we would be going through. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being here and running us through your character.
Yes, this was such a blast. I am so excited. Ro, the world you're building is incredible. I cannot wait for us to play in it and wreak merry havoc.
Thank you. I'm very excited to absolutely ruin every single character. So hyped.
Thank you. We look forward to the trauma.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you in the first Bounty Hunter episode.
Yes, I can't wait.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Remains to be Seen. We now have with us today...
Hi, I'm Annie Ruby. I use she, her pronouns. Hello.
Hello, Annie. So tell us a bit about yourself.
I am an editor, voice actor, musician, streamer from San Francisco. I'm 1/3 of the streaming team Skinny Pig Games on Twitch. I am a former editor of the Magnus Archives. You will have heard me on various Rusty Quill things, and I am extremely stoked to be here for this.
Yay. Oh, I'm very, very excited to have you on board. So you are also in the Bounty Hunter group. So tell us a bit about your character.
So my character is Josanna, named Josie for short. Most people will know her by as Josie. She is a tiefling druid, infernal tiefling specifically. She is... should I give physical description here, by the way?
Yeah, sure.
Great. So she is... about 6 feet tall, orange skin, short white hair with big, thick, but kind of short horns around her ears, kind of holding her bangs back sort of thing. She has one eye. Her right eye is permanently solid black all the way through, kind of a scar down, very anime scar across the eye. Her body has all kinds of patterns and tattoos and scars of various shapes and forms. They do look very patterned. They're not random. No one really knows the significance of them. She's 33 years old, and she was brought into the Bounty Hunters by a character named Brian, to whom she was introduced by her brother Isaiah.
Ooh, it sounds very fun. Yeah, Josie is going to be such an interesting character from what I've read from your story already.
I am so unwell about her backstory. There is so much in there, and I cannot wait to hide all of it for as long as I possibly can.
I cannot wait to push it as much as I can. Oh, it's going to be so fun. So I have a little bit of an improv question, and once again, they are not your usual calm. What is your favorite type of breakfast ones? But, Josie, how do you know they won't betray you?
Well, I don't know that they won't betray me, but I don't think they will. And I say that with the confidence of somebody who knows that if they do, I'll be fine. All I have to do is get away from them. originally, the bounty hunters were just intended to be a stepping stone for me to get as far away as possible. I didn't expect to find the people I cared about enough here to stick around. I really didn't expect to be stuck with other people at all. I lived so long by myself, and I intended to keep doing that. But now that we're here, I'm seeing how far it goes. If they betray me in the end, all I have to do is get away, and it's back to the plan I already had.
Amazing. Ooh, very, very interesting. Okay, Josie. All right. That's gonna be really interesting. I'm so very excited. Very fun. So, to get a little bit into how your character works, because you are playing a tiefling, an infernal tiefling, you said?
Yes.
So what are the things that D&D 2024 gives you as a infernal tiefling?
So I actually have the player's handbook here in front of me for this purpose.
Amazing.
So the infernal path specifically, I have fire resistance. I know firebolt as a cantrip. At level 3 where we start, I have hellish rebuke. At level 5, I'll get darkness. And general tiefling traits, I've got dark vision, 60 feet dark vision. And I also know thaumaturgy as part of the otherworldly presence from tieflings. And I think that is all they have in the player's handbook for tiefling specifically.
Ooh, interesting. All right, then we'll go to because what class are you playing?
So I'm playing a druid, and more specifically, I chose the subclass, the Circle of the Moon. Circle of the Moon gives me, it's a spell casting and beast form focused. I could pull up the page here in the player's handbook in a moment, but basically the reason that I ended up picking Circle of the Moon is because it gives me access to some of my spells, like my healing spells, while in animal form, whereas in other druid classes I have to either choose between being able to spell cast or being in animal form, and once I shift I can no longer cast. So I felt like it was the most versatile class option. And just in general, it gives me a lot more flexibility a lot earlier with beast forms, which I think fits the character's backstory in ways that will become apparent as we go along.
Yeah, because druids, for people that don't know how druids work, can you explain that?
Of course.
To them.
A druid is intended to be effectively a spellcaster of nature. They are your hermetic forest wizard who speaks to animals and very much lives alone in the trees and can change into animals, knows all the magic of nature. They tend to be very aloof. I am subverting some of the stereotypes of a druid in terms of the fact that they are often tend to be played as I said, aloof and very like nature focused, a little woo woo in there. Josie's not that. Josie is extremely irreverent, bad mouth, bad attitude a lot of the time, and she very much has spent a significant portion of her adult life living in like seedy neighborhoods of cities rather than in the forest. She's done her time in nature, but that's not where she's lived most recently. But it is a class, it's a spellcasting class based around, that has a lot of different paths you can take to be more healing focused or, combat spell focused or animal shape focused for combat or things like this. So,
yeah. Because you can also wild shape.
Yes. And
D&D likes to very much explain wild shape in a good 2.5 pages or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because can you give us an easier explanation for basically what you do? Because it's actually quite simple.
Yeah, I mean, basically the idea of wild shape is per long rest, I get a certain number of times where I can transform into an animal for a certain period. And I have a certain number at various levels that changes of animals that I can like learn how to change into that are my forms. Higher level I am, the higher level the animal is. When I shapeshift in, I shift over to a completely separate but linked character sheet for that animal. My stats change to that animal's stats. other than my mental stats, which remain my own. And functionally, for that period, I am that animal. Again, the reason I chose Circle of the Moon as the subclass is because I still have access to my spellcasting in there, which is not the case in other druid subclasses. When you wild shape, you can't, since most spells obviously have verbal components, you don't have access to those, but really you don't have access to any of them unless you take Circle of the Moon. So,
yeah.
But there is an insanely complicated list of which forms you can learn when based on whether they can swim or fly or like how many hit points they have, or they call them challenge ratings, but they start at 1/4 as opposed to starting at challenge rating 1, which is very odd. So it is extremely, the articles about it, especially if you go online, you can get very in depth into how much detail there is to work with.
Yeah, it is also to make sure that, for example, if you are a level 2 druid, because wild shape you get at level 2, you do not suddenly become a giant elephant.
Yeah, right.
For example. And you basically, because you can use them in your fights as well, and then you insta-kill every single character.
Right. Yeah, you can't just immediately shift into an animal that is over-leveled for whatever encounter you're in.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
scales that way so that as your character levels up, so do your animals.
Yeah, and I think with Circle of the Moon, you can already choose bigger animals than than you can normally.
Yes, I have the ability to choose from a greater number of, like, memorize a greater number of forms as Circle of the Moon, and the base challenge rating starts higher. So the first forms I can learn are slightly bigger, slightly tougher, slightly more complicated.
Yeah.
I still can't do anything that swims or flies for quite a while, but I can get a little tankier with it. So.
Oh, it'll be very fun to see what kind of animals will appear randomly in the campaign. I'm very, very excited for that. Because you also there are two things which are, Druidic, which is a secret language of druids.
Yes, that's correct.
And you get at level 1, you get Primal Order, where you can basically choose between Magician and Warden. What have you chosen in that?
Oh, let me see here. I believe I went with Warden because the Warden gives a druid proficiency with martial weapons, training with medium armor. I know that I didn't want Josie, given the sort of style and backstory of the character, I wanted her to not be squishy. She needed to be able to have something with a higher AC and wield a bigger stick.
Yeah, exactly. Because druids, if we look back at what 5e did, druids were very much the magic-based character, not the we're gonna be chunky and go into every single fight. And with the 2024 rules, you now have that ability to actually also just be a beast of a character.
Yes. They let you be more something akin to more like a battle mage type.
Yeah, exactly.
As a druid, which is good. It's good flexibility, because I think that a character that you build around the idea that they're eventually going to be shapeshifting into an elephant or a grizzly bear whenever they hit a combat, you don't want them to be like a 12 hit point wizard when they're out of wild shape. It doesn't really. It's a little harder to roleplay that way.
Yeah. And if we look at your ability scores, what are your modifiers for which ones?
So I start off, my rolls were kind of unbelievable, honestly. Rolling these up, I got some insane luck. So I start with a +2 strength, +1 dex, +2 con, flat even int, +4 wisdom, and +2 charisma.
Nice.
So I have no minuses, and my dump stat being intelligence, I still have a flat even modifier, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. And what are your saving throws and your skills, like proficiencies?
So in saving throws, proficiencies are intelligence and wisdom, so I do get that +2 with the int.
Yeah.
And then for skills, my proficiencies are in religion and survival, which again.
Ooh.
Lots of tie-ins to the character backstory in that.
I cannot wait to get into that. That's going to be really fun. And what is your background that you chose?
So the background that I chose is Wayfarer, and I have here in the handbook. The Wayfarer, you grew up on the streets surrounded by similarly ill-fated cast-offs, a few of them friends and a few of them rivals. You slept where you could and did odd jobs for food. At times when the hunger became unbearable, you resorted to theft. Still, you never lost your pride and never abandoned hope. Fate is not finished with you yet. Which is basically what I would have written about Josie before I found it in the books.
Yeah. Yeah, it fits very well with the character that you will indeed be playing. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that will all tune into who she really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really fun. What are the because next to Wild Shape, what are the weapons that you are using?
I have a Morning Star as sort of the standard big hitting weapon, because again, I wanted her to wield a bigger stick. So
nice.
if she's gonna be swinging in human form, she's gonna go big. She has a Morning Star, and then as her druidic focus, she has a quarterstaff. Pretty straightforward. I have not yet quite given thought to exactly what flavor that's going to be dressed up with, but it's going to be something unique.
I mean, we will see in the show itself, so definitely,
yes, exactly.
definitely keep a lookout for that. And druids are also obviously spellcasters.
Yes.
So what are the spells that you have chosen?
Well, let me scroll down here on the character sheet. So for cantrips, as part of Circle of the Moon, I get one called Starry. Is it Starry Wisp? Did I write that down right?
Starry Wisp.
Starry Wisp,
yeah.
It is. Okay. Yes. Starry Wisp is one that I get for free for Circle of the Moon automatically. And then, as I mentioned, Firebolt and Thaumaturgy I get from my Tiefling background. And then the other cantrips I chose are Guidance, because obviously that is never not useful, and Thorn Whip, because it's good to have a combat spell in cantrips.
Nice.
For spell level 1, I get Cure Wounds automatically from Circle of the Moon as well. Does not cost one of the spell slots. And then I chose Create, Destroy Water, Entangle, Speak with Animals, of course, Detect Magic, Healing Word, and from Tiefling I get Hellish Rebuke as well. So 2 healing spells in there, Cure Wounds being one that I get regardless of anything else from Circle of the Moon and can cast in animal form. One of the biggest motivations for me to choose Moon was that. And then on at spell level 2, I get Moonbeam, Circle of the Moon again, and I chose Dark Vision so that I can grant it to our one party member who does not come equipped.
The one party member. I don't even remember which party member doesn't have dark vision.
Can I tell you, I don't actually remember off the top of my head either. I just remember one person.
Either.
One character doesn't, and I think they also ended up taking some goggles with dark vision on their character sheets when we were doing that big session together building stuff. So, but either way, I have it here, so the one person who doesn't have it can have it.
That's so smart. Yeah, no, that's really good. Oh, because what is your spellcasting ability and DC and stuff for
let me pull
Druid?
that back up. So the spellcasting level, spellcasting ability modifier, I should say, to be precise in what 5e is giving, or 2024 is giving me with the language, is supposed to be wisdom plus. It's wisdom modifier plus proficiency bonus. So mine would be a +6.
Nice.
Yes, because of having so much in wisdom there, because of that +4 in wisdom.
Yeah.
So the +6 to that, and then the save DC from there is plus. Do you remember what that is from there?
I think
that's 8.
14.
I'm seeing an 8 on there, +8.
Yeah, 8 + 4 + 2.
Yeah. So yeah, I got the 4. Okay. Yes. So the spell save DC is 14, and the spell casting modifier is the +6.
Nice. Oh, it's gonna be
Good starting
this is
spot.
going to be really fun. It's a really good starting spot for a level 3 character.
Yeah. I'm actually a little worried about it, I'm not gonna lie. Having a really good spot for a character like this just kind of lends to in caution. It lends to feeling like I have to, which I am very attached to this character, and I do not want to be incautious with her. But also, If she's going to be extremely competent, she's going to be getting herself into situations. So,
Yeah. 'Cause boy, oh boy, it's going to be situation after situation with this game.
mhm.
I'm so hyped for this. And what is your current armor class and hit points?
I have 24 hit points currently. My AC is 15 because I grabbed studded leather armor, and that's the other thing. When I have the morning
Nice.
staff out, I also have a shield since morning staff's one hand. So that's why I'm up to the
Ooh.
15.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I'm very excited to see Josie actually in action in the show.
I'm excited to get in action, let me tell you.
It's going to be really, really fun. Thank you, Annie, so much for your time
course.
and for explaining Josie to us.
Of course. Thank you guys.
And I'll see you in the Bounty Hunter first episode.
Can't wait.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Remains to be Seen. And today I am here with...
Mira, me. I didn't
Hi,
realize
Mira.
I was. Hi, the scatterbrain of the group.
Hello.
That's me.
It's nice to see you here. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. A bit nervous because it's very exciting, but I'm good.
It's all gonna be fine. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
So, back in 1994. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna go there. Where do I start? It's like the typical question. I live in UK. I've moved here from Poland roughly 12 years ago, so I have completely lost and regained and mixed matched my accent, which is going to be very apparent throughout the series. I really like playing all sort of games, board games, obviously D&D, anything that tickles my brain with nice puzzle, a little bit of combat, some little heartbreaks here and there if possible. I like baking. I collect way too many dice. I start a lot of craft projects that I never finish. And yeah, that's essentially me.
It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about the character that you will be playing throughout the show.
So I have decided on playing a character known as Una, who is a human rogue. Because humans don't need to be boring, and I'm trying to challenge that a little bit. I know that for my specific character, we decided to go with the new 2024 rules, which I found very interesting. There was a lot of customizable bits I really liked, and I think human just allowed me to have that bit of a play with what is it that I wanted to add to them without too many constricting things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's not the word that probably I'm looking for. So that would be the very basic description of her. What else would you like to know about her?
What does she look like?
I decided on her to have a mid-length, wavy-ish, soft brown, or like ashy brown hair with amber-colored eyes, which I, at least in my imagination, see her with almost yellowish, brownish kind of eyes. Maybe honey would be the best description for it, but like a pale honey kind of. She would be of like a rather pale complexion. There would be reasons for that. Probably with a couple of scars, rough working hands, rather petite, both in being vertically and, well, she's definitely vertically challenged, if that makes sense. At least I like to think for her to be quite small stature, very unassuming, because, who wants to be a very big, imposing rogue. Like, it's better to be tiny and sneaky.
So, for what I do with everyone is the improv question. And I am obviously not the nice one that is like, what is your favorite type of breakfast? Because, no. Why would I ever?
Oh, gosh. Now I'm thinking about it as well. But yeah, anyways.
So, Una, why did you forget them?
I don't think it was by choice. I'm not sure I even know who you're asking about. Am I missing something? Do you want to ask about anyone in particular?
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Oh, this is going to be so fun to delve into Una's backstory. Ooh.
Me and
all
you
right,
both.
let's go a bit. Yeah. Ooh, what will that mean?
Ooh.
So let's go a bit through how your character works, because you're playing a human.
Human, yes.
What does the D&D rules give humans?
So we're just going to start from the top. There is the creature type, obviously humanoid. I did jokingly say that Una's going to be of a petite stature, probably still in the medium size category. Her movement speed will be the standard 30 feet. And because we playing, as I mentioned earlier, as per 2024 rules, she has the resourceful bit. I don't know if that would be called a feat, a skill, a thing. She has a thing.
A trait.
A trait.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, there we go. A trait. So she gets a resourceful trait, which allowed her to gain a heroic inspiration whenever she finishes a long rest. Because I like to be a nuisance.
Yeah, oh gosh. Oh, just like you and every single other person that I've talked to today.
Yeah, definitely. She also gains she gains a proficiency with one skill of my choice, which I will need to refresh what it is that I've chosen. And she also has the versatile trait, which is the good old human thing that I was definitely going for. And with that, she gains a origin feat of my choice as well, which is what I really liked about creating her, because it gave me a lot of freedom what I could take for her and what we could leave out. So yeah.
What is the origin feat that you chose for?
I believe
for her?
I chose alert for her. Sorry, I'm just looking at the whole thing and I don't remember which I chose and which was already given. I believe I chose the alert, which it doesn't work the same way as in the 5e original rules, which just basically helps her with the initiative. Whenever we would roll initiative for Una, I can add her proficiency bonus to the roll additionally, which it would hopefully come in handy for her to go as one of the first people, because obviously we want to use up a couple of skills that would require that. There is also a part of it that is called an initiative swap. So immediately after I roll an initiative, I can swap it with an initiative of one willing ally in the same combat. And there are obviously caveats. I won't be able to do that swap if myself or the ally are incapacitated. That's the only thing, because you know, they need to be willing, they need to be awake for that.
Yeah, exactly. And not that it's like the creature that you're fighting is first in the initiative, and then you're like, haha, no.
Unless someone was to make him an ally in the combat.
Who knows?
No.
Who knows? Who knows?
It's gonna be shenanigans. Shenanigans, definitely.
Absolutely. So run us a bit through the ability scores that you have.
So we're just going with the holy six, essentially.
The holy six.
Yeah. Her strength is a 10. Dexterity at 18 with modifier +4. Constitution at 14 with modifier +2. Intelligence at 17 with a modifier +3. Wisdom would be at 15 with modifier of +2. And charisma would be on a 12 with a modifier of +1.
It's still with the modifier.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? And what are the saving throws and skills that you are proficient in?
It would be dexterity and intelligence for my sweet little rogue. And the skills that she's proficient with... Okay, I need to crack my knuckles for this one.
There's so many.
There is so many. Oh, so she is proficient with Arcana, History and Insight, Investigation, Perception, Performance, and Persuasion. And then the standard Slay of Hand, Stealth, and a little bit of Survival.
Oh, God.
I know.
Oh, so many.
I know.
Oh, I love it.
I know. I have surpassed my own expectations with this.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. Because you also have expertise in some of them, right?
Yes, I think I chose the expertise in the Slay of Hand, if I'm not mistaken, and in Perception. Is it? I believe.
Nice.
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
It's just on that character sheet that there's no expertise thingy. Slay of Hand is definitely one of them. I don't remember the other one now. It's one of them.
I think sleight of hand and perception, because perception you have a
think
+6 and sleight of hand a +8. Or it's stealth could also, because it's also +6.
Yes, no, I was a smart cookie.
Oh.
I written it out. Expertise, perception, and Slay of Hand at the bottom of the sheet. There we go. Oh my god.
Nice. Very smart.
So smart I forgot about it.
And it's fine. We can just all forget that you forgot, basically. It's fine.
No. I'm not forgetting the expertise now. It's gonna be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
So tell us a bit about what rogues can do between like level 1 and level 3.
So my little rogue will be able to do the sneak attack. The bread and butter, the sneak attack, which would allow me to, reading from the book, subtly exploit foes' distractions. So I will be able to attack them with a little bit more of a force, causing them a little bit more of a damage. Obviously, there will be requirements for that. Una would need to have an advantage on the roll, and she just won't be able to do it with any other weapon. It would need to be a finesse or a ranged weapon.
Yeah.
Other than that, we have and this is when my pronunciation is going to be so bad. I might need some help with that. Thieves. I don't want us to be cancelled.
I will quickly say thieves can't.
Thieves can't.
I do not know.
Yeah.
I do not know what the actual pronunciation is. We have to just make very, very clear that it is with an A.
We're just gonna rewind the thieves language. There you go.
The thieves language. Let's
that
do that
one. Yeah, the thieves language. Yeah.
So thieves language.
Yeah, thieves language. And still on the level 1, we have the weapon mastery, which it basically means that with the training, there are certain properties of 2 kinds of weapons that I will be able to choose from, and then have that additional thing.
Basically, you get the weapon masteries of 2 of the weapons you have. So, what are the weapons that you have?
The weapons will be once again the bread and butter of rogues. We go with a dagger, a rapier, the short bow, and there's additional little thing that Una gets because of her type of the type of the rogue that we playing as, and she will also have psionic blades, which comes in later on. Yes.
Ooh, spoilers.
Spoilers.
What else do you get as a rogue?
On the level 2, canning action, which once again, it's a bonus action for dash, disengage, and hide, which is very useful in a battlefield. On the level 3, this is when the sap class comes in. The steady aim, yes, the steady aim. So for the bonus action, as long as I don't move during the turn, I can have an advantage on attack roll on the current turn.
Which is very nice for when you have sneak attack.
Yeah, so that goes back to the advantage that we were mentioning earlier and the conditions of that.
Yeah. And then we get to your subclass.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is an interesting one that they've added to 2024.
Yes, so with the 2024 rules, we've decided to go for a soul knife rogue. And the short description of it is that you can strike your foes with a psionic blades, which was a very interesting little mechanic for me. It was just the one that was speaking to me the most, really, out of the rules that we decided to go with. I wanted something a bit more interesting that I haven't used before, and that was ticking all the boxes for me.
Yeah, because what does the soul knife kind of do next to like the psionic blades?
So with that,
what are the psionic blades?
The psionic blades. Well, essentially, psionic blades is just a type of the weapon. The very start, I probably should explain what the psionic powers are, which is when my character will be able to use a psionic energy within herself, and then I will have a nice little mechanic referring to psionic energy dice, and I will be fueling certain powers for her specific subclass. So for the current level, I believe we will be going with four D6s, which can be regained. Well, once used, they can be regained upon finish a short rest. And then you regain all. If I was to use all of them, I will only be able to regain all of them upon a long rest. So it's like 1 per short rest, long rest. If I've used all of them, it's going to be all of them, which is up to 4, I believe, at this stage.
Yeah. And what can you do with these dice?
So there will be this is going to be another tongue twister, side-bolstered knack, which basically means that if Una fails an ability check using skill or tool, which she has a proficiency, I will be able to reroll the psionic energy die and then add that number to the check, potentially allowing her to turn a failure into success, fingers crossed. But the die is still used up regardless of if that roll has succeeded or not.
Yeah.
Correction. The die is expended only if the roll is successful. I'm sorry, that's actually a very mean mechanic.
That is a interesting one. Okay.
How to give yourself lucky without having access to lucky.
Yeah.
Basically.
And what else?
Then because of the nature of psionic energy, Una would have access to establishing a telepathic communication with herself and others, between herself and others. With that, this is when the little bit of a number crunch will come in. It will be, as an action, she will be able to choose 1 or more creatures that she can see up to a number equal to her current proficiency bonus. And then upon rolling the psionic die, the number coming out from the die will be, I believe, the number
of hours.
Yeah.
Right?
I believe so. For a number of hours, equal to the number rolled, so...
And they must also be within
1
mile of each other.
Which is still a very big distance away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting because it has not really been used a lot yet, I think. So I'm very curious to see how the Soul Knife Rogue will come into play. And definitely with the backstory that you have.
Yes. With the backstory that I have.
With the backstory that you have. Definitely keep your I would say keep your eyes on it, but keep your ears on it, because this is just audio. On what will happen with all of us being like, story? Story. Story. So, the psionic blades.
It's a quite interesting little mechanic. It's essentially would mean that Una would be able to conjure up or manifest, as they say in here, manifest a psychic blade in a free hand and then make an attack with that blade, which will be following the traits of the finesse weapon, thrown weapon, essentially a psychic dagger. If I was to like just to describe it this way, it would already come with the weapon mastery of Vex, which basically will mean that upon hitting a creature with that specific weapon, the dealt damage and the deal damage, that would provide Una with an advantage on her next attack against the same creature before the end of her turn. So another little advantage coming in here.
Very good. That's very good. And I think it does like 1d6 psychic damage,
1d6
right?
psychic damage, which psychic damage can be quite annoying.
Yep. Yep.
I am gonna be glad to be on the dealing end of that instead of receiving for once in D&D game.
I mean, psychic damage is also very much used in very specific stuff, and I feel like having that just being dealt by a rogue is just really fun.
It's definitely gonna be very fun. The only thing about the blade itself is that it does disappear after it's used, regardless if it hits or misses, but it leaves no mark on the creature after dealing them, because obviously it's psychic damage, so it's all in your head.
Oh, that will be interesting if you kill someone and you find a body and there's no marks.
I promise I found them just like this.
Yeah, you
They
have
just
no proof.
Fell.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, the shenanigans. The background. Oh, I decided Una to be an educated lady. She's going to be coming from a scribe background, which allowed me to increase her ability score for, I believe it's like either 1 point each, or 1 by 2 points and another by 1 point. It's basically 3 points to be distributed amongst these. Dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom, which, once again, dexterity, very good. Intelligence, very good. Wisdom, very useful.
Very useful.
Very useful. And the scribe background also comes in with the skilled feat, which, once again, I think this is where all of the skill proficiencies that I have thrown at Una came in from. From the scribe, she was getting the investigation and perception, and also a tool proficiency with calligrapher's tools or supplies.
Yeah.
Which in turn, I have learned that would allow Una to write text with very impressively flourished writing.
Oh.
And also, that would mean that it would be guarded against forgery. So, if I understand this correctly, no one can forge her writing. Or it would be difficult to do so. No, it would be difficult to do so, I believe. It would be kind of mean if no one could do it. Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
That is an interesting fact. Okay. Oh, that's going to be really fun. I can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
So, what is your armor class and hit points currently?
For Una, it would be armor class? Wow. Armor class of 14.
Nice.
And the hit points, we said 24.
Ooh, okay. We got a steady 24, I feel like, in just the cast in general. Which is fair. I mean, it's D8, 38s. So yeah. I think that is everything that we would have to go through for her. So thank you, Mira, so much for your time and for explaining to us how your character works.
I am glad I had this opportunity to explain how she works so I can get used to it myself. Because there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new things to take in. Very, very interesting approach to the class and the type of creature that the new rules put in. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what shenanigans she will be up to.
Can't wait to see it either.
But yes, thank you so much.
Thank you too, and I will see you in the first Bounty Hunter episodes.
Thank you. Can't wait.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Remains to be Seen is an original podcast created by Dyaflame Studios and licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. Today's episode was produced by Rick Breejen and Jo Mendacium and edited by Rover Elliott and Jo Mendacium. It starred Jo Mendacium, Elizabeth Simpson, Annie Ruby, Mirah Fae, and Rover Elliott as host. The intro and outro were composed by We Talk of Dreams, and a transcript was written by Elizabeth Simpson. To get in touch with us and keep up to date with our antics, follow us on Instagram, Bluesky, and TikTok at Dyaflame Studios, or view our website at dyaflame.com. Check out our show notes for additional credits, links, and transcripts.